And Jason, you know, the International Red Cross, and we've been talking for these last 3 weeks, has been so critical to the efforts to get the 4 hostages out, which were heroic, as well as getting aid in. I just was interviewing Eylon Levy from the Israeli government, claiming that the key issue of fuel, which the President of the United States has been pressing Israel on, and the international community has been pressing Israel on, that Hamas is hoarding fuel in those tunnels, doling it out just to keep the hospitals functioning, but in critical care needs, and that Hamas should also be pressed to release fuel, while still denying, you know, all the pressure to establish international corridors of relief and suspension pauses in the assault to let that happen. Is there something more that the international community can do to get the fuel in, to assure Israel that it will not go to Hamas, it will go where it's needed?
What I would say about that is that the International Committee of the Red Cross has been working in Gaza for decades now, and that we take very seriously our responsibility, not just in Gaza, but around the world, to bring in assistance and make sure that it is given and distributed specifically among civilians. We work in Iraq, we work in Afghanistan, we work in Somalia. The issue of bringing assistance into any of these locations when the fighting is highest, it always has, there's always a certain degree of question from the other side. Is this aid being used for its rightful purpose? So we don't use contractors, we don't use outside parties. We take the assistance, we bring it in, we deliver it precisely to the people who are in need themselves, and that's the method we have to ensure that when we bring in medical supplies, it actually goes to the doctors and nurses and the patients that need it, and that's the way we work.
And are you still able and willing to escort hostages out, even though the attacks have, escalated by Prime Minister Netanyahu, I should say, by Israel's own description in the speech that came over the weekend?
Absolutely. We absolutely would be ready to do that. We're continuing to have conversations to try to further progress alongside the other parties that you've already interviewed and talked about, also furthering this issue. You bring up the point of when there is a higher degree of fighting, the danger goes up. So the next time, and I say next time, hopefully, the next time there are hostages released, we will be ready to meet Hamas, take possession of the hostages, do that first medical check with them, and then drive them into safe hands. But of course, we wouldn't be willing to do that if there were no security guarantees in place. First, we don't want members of the Red Cross to be put in harm's way, but just as importantly, maybe even more importantly, we would never do an operation where there was any risk that the hostages could come under fire, come under bombardment while they were in our care.